Hello and welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you are new to the channel, consider subscribing as it helps out the channel, and give this video a like if you do like it. Joining me for this review is my fellow slug, Manny Cruz. Say hi.
Scram, punk.
So this is for the Stupor Salesman, released on the 20th of November 1948. It's the 540th in the series, and it's directed by Art Davis. And unfortunately, it's a copyrighted cartoon, as I always say in these things, but if I were to show it, it would get blocked on YouTube. Instead, you can find it on the Looney Tunes Golden Collection Volume 1 DVD set, Platinum Collection Volume 3, and on HBO Max. So Manny, what's this cartoon all about?
So in this cartoon, Slug McSlug robs the last national bank and goes into hiding, where Daffy Duck is a determined salesman and tries everything in his power to get Slug to buy something.
Give me back the brush I gave you.
Yep, he's a determined salesman, alright, and we will definitely talk about that in this review. In terms of trivia, there is one main thing in this one where Daffy would say, there's good news tonight.
There's good news tonight.
That was a catchphrase for Gabriel Heater, if I said his name right, who was a US radio commentator, and he would always say, and there's good news tonight when signing on. But I think his name is also mentioned, isn't it, Manny?
Correct. When I was watching this cartoon, and it's been a while since I was watching it, just before Daffy says that phrase, he takes out the product and he starts polishing Slug's pistol. And he said, this will look better than Gabriel's heater. And I'm like, what does that mean? And I looked into it. It's funny, Anthony and I both came to like the same discovery, so to speak. And I also love the way that Daffy delivers that line of good news tonight. But I had no idea who Gabriel Heater was, and I didn't know about the radio show and so on and so forth. But this doesn't surprise me because, you know, Looney Tunes are just chock full of radio pop culture references of that time period.
Of course, and thankfully, even if you don't know the reference, it's still a darn good cartoon. And where to begin? I mean, you got to start with the name, Slug McSlug. Come on, like his parents must have been really something, you know. Like if they had the surname McSlug, it's like, you know what, we're gonna name our boy Slug. That's it. I don't know, but just as bad as Cool McCool, which was a cartoon series. I mean, wow. You know, maybe they should have had a team up. You know, Cool McCool versus Slug McSlug. You know, and see what happens there. We've also got the last national bank. I mean, typical, but hey, we like that. And why would the police give Daffy a lift? Like, it's a bit weird, but I thought it was funny. Just.
Well, I'm guessing too, you know, in that time period. I remember watching a video on YouTube a few months ago talking about, you know, back then that cars were they were popular, but they still weren't really popular yet. And they had a lot of people who would hitchhike. So I'm assuming that the cops saw Daffy walking and hitchhiking, so to speak. And then they were like, yeah, let's give this guy a lift. And going into that thing, there was something that I read online saying that, you know, this was still in an era where traveling salesmen were a thing. Because this is before the internet, before Amazon and eBay and all that. And this was also before telemarketing. Recently, I was showing a commercial for one of those music compilations that they would sell in the 90s on CD. And, you know, I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember you had to call the phone number and no cash on delivery. And I'm like, we went from traveling salesman to those corny musical compilation commercials in the 90s to you could buy something on Amazon in 2 seconds, literally.
But yeah, speaking of salesmen, I've said this before, and I'll say it again, Daffy Duck as a salesman is just one of my favorite roles that they put him in. It's just, I don't know, just something about it that is just perfect for that character. I mean, what do you think?
Absolutely.
And we still got plenty more to come too, which is great. But there's one detail that a lot of you guys may not have noticed, because I certainly didn't notice it the first few times I saw this cartoon, and it's the continuity of the door damage throughout the cartoon. Whenever Daffy gets thrown out, instead of, you know, the door being magically replaced or whatever, they just keep the same damage and they just add to it. And I thought, hey, this is actually a pretty neat touch. You don't see this too often in cartoons.
That was a nice little running joke in the cartoon that I appreciated as well.
Just don't see it too often. But what's up with Daffy's magical suitcase? Is he trying to be like Felix the Cat with his magic bag or something? Like, like it's just incredible. But hey, whatever. It's perfect for this cartoon. Just happens to have everything and trying to sell anything to this Slug McSlug character. Are there any bits in it that you particularly enjoy?
Oh, there's definitely a few bits. Now that you were talking about selling, I like when Daffy pulls out the aggressive selling book, and it just gives me very fond, pleasant. I'm being very sarcastic. Memories of working in retail, and I can only imagine that my old retail jobs would give me a book like that. And instead of actually reading it, I was just throwing it in the trash where it belongs. A few other things from this cartoon, I mean, this goes without saying, but anytime you watch a Art Davis cartoon, it's an animation fan's treat. It's just the animation is just so insane, and I absolutely love it. I do love the part when Daffy's at the door and he's like, "How many do you want to order?" And Slug is looking right at him. And what Art Davis decided to do like that little spinning rotation, and then it goes to the point where Slug is pointing the pistol at Daffy's body. And I'm like, wow, that's giving me 60s Batman vibes for some reason. But I thought that was really neat that he made that transition from one scene to another. When brass knuckles scene, when Slug punches the iron that Daffy has, and I love that when he puts his hands in his mouth and you start hearing Morse code. Also, I love the animation when Daffy is like trying to operate the lighter, and he's like flipping it forward, and I just love the way that was drawn right there.
A simple flip, of a couple, maybe 3 of flip. Hey, the thing must be dirty or something. Now let's try it. Hey, cut it out!
You mentioned it before we recorded, but when he says, "Oh, those eyes,"
Sit close together. Say something. What do you take me for? A nincom?
ninkum, boop. Another nice reading from Mel Blanc. And there was one musical thing that I wanted to point out I thought was really neat because there wasn't a lot of music in this one that caught my attention. But during the opening titles, I looked it up. There was a song called What You Say by Burton Lane and Ted Koehler. And you also hear the same song during that scene where Daffy turns on the oven and he's trying to operate the lighter. And I did a little digging, and that song itself is from a 1945 movie called Pillow to Post. And I thought that the synopsis was actually very interesting. I'm like, oh, did Carl Stalling do this on purpose? I'm guessing he did. So the movie is actually about a traveling saleswoman who convinces an army lieutenant to act as her husband so she can get an apartment during the World War II housing shortage. So I'm like, again, I don't know if Carl Stalling did that on purpose, but if he did, I'm like, wow, that's really neat that he threw that in there, not just some random music. And I really got a kick out of that. Oh, and just the little things that Daffy says in between. Oh, my dogs are killing me, my flat feet. And when Slug starts shooting at him with the silencer, he says, "Oh, the bees are really coming out today. Bless their little stingers." And I'm like, there's so many great lines in this one.
It's a solid one and one of Art's best, and it's a shame that we are going to be winding down with Art Davis fairly soon, and such a shame. Yeah, I know. But in any case, just to wind it up, in terms of a rating, I'm giving this one 9 out of 10. I mean, I don't care what anyone says. It's solid, it's funny, and I absolutely love this one. What would you rate this one?
I really enjoyed it, and when you were asking for people to help with recording, I specifically wanted to do this one. On the rewatch, I'm like, it's still really funny. Maybe it wasn't, there were some moments I was like, it's not as funny as I remember, but I would give it 8.5.
Okay, yeah.
It's still great, though,
Of course. I mean, I really love this one. And you know what? That'll do it for this one. So thank you so much, guys, for listening. And until next time, take care.
There's good news tonight.
Tell that guy something. I'll sell him something. There must be something he needs.